I'm Paulie G. Welcome back to the Paulie G Show, coming to you live from high atop Mount Georgia. I hope you're doing splendidly. Now, you're probably thinking, Paulie G, have you gone around the bend? Why do you have not one, but two Gibson SJ200 guitars? What is wrong with you? Well, you'd be right on some parts of that. I did go around the bend, but that's a long time ago, and that's another time in another video. And you would also be right in looking at this and thinking it's a J200. I thought it was a J200. After all, it's replete with flamey maple back, sides, and has the inlaid pickguard, the mustache bridge, the crown inlays, amazing sound, everything a J200 should have. So imagine my surprise when I saw the price tag of this in the used section of my local guitar store and saw that it was way, way less than what you would expect to pay for a J200. I couldn't believe it. Well, I looked inside, and what to my surprise should I see but a label that says this is a J100 XTRA. XTRA, no E. I'd never heard of this model before. Well, come to find out, I guess in the early 2000s, and very rarely since, have they ever produced a model called a J100 XTRA. And I'm not really sure why this wasn't made into a J200. Literally, the only difference I can find is the lack of binding on the neck and the headstock. But otherwise, it's a J200. And I was thrilled to get it because it took care of all of those wants and desires of a J200 at a fraction of the price. So, speaking of price, you may be interested to know that J200s, they started building those, I think, roughly 1939, but they went into production in the early 1940s, and the price was $200. And Gibson was famous for naming all their models back in those days after the price of the guitar. The J35 obviously was $35, the J45 was $45, the J50, and the ultimate king of the flat tops here was $200, which in 1940, I can tell you, was a tidy sum of money. So when people balk at the prices of these things today, you have to keep in mind that adjusted for inflation, it's really about the same as you would have paid back then. So these weren't priced for everybody. These were definitely highly sought after and expensive models of guitars. But J200's the king of the flat top, right? I mean, the choice of Elvis, Bob Dylan, George Harrison, Pete Townsend, Greg Lake, Tom Petty. That doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of the people that have played these guitars and enjoyed them. So obviously, it's any acoustic player like myself, you're going to lust after these if you're, inclined to play the bigger type of acoustic guitars. And I had wanted one for a long time. I never thought I'd get one, and this, really filled that void. And I was thrilled to have it, and I still have it, and I'm really loving it. But not long after I got this, I stopped in my aforementioned local guitar shop, and my friend Jordan, the salesman, said, "Paulie G, sit down because I have an offer to make you that you're not going to be able to refuse on this amazing J200 guitar." So again, the maple back and sides are just extraordinary. This is what they call antique natural finish. I think these were probably similar in color when they were first made, but this has aged into a beautiful amber kind of tone. This guitar was built in 2003. I actually checked the serial number, and interestingly enough, it was officially produced on Valentine's Day 2003. So that made it just a little bit more romantic, I guess you could say. This is a 2019. Both of these were made in the Bozeman, Montana factory, which I think, you know, when you think of the lineage of guitars at Gibson, they really hit their stride with acoustics ever since they moved to the Bozeman factory. I don't think they've had really an off year since then. The Kalamazoo years, you know, they had their issues certainly in the 70s, and their electric guitars, you know, they had some rough goings at times, but I think they're on their A game again. But the Bozeman factory never really had a bad run, in my opinion. I think they're all pretty extraordinary. I've never really seen a bad one. I've seen some that are better than others. But these two I am very much in love with and proud to own. And despite the fact that their construction and materials are virtually the same, they are unique to one another in terms of sound and different smaller things like neck profile is a little bit different. This feels like more of a 50s kind of neck, a C shape, and is a little bit fatter. But you know, aside from the binding on the neck and headstock, there's really very little difference between these two. So, you know, again, they're priced high because of the, you know, craftsmanship that goes into them. They're not for everybody. A great substitute, because I don't think you're likely to come across a deal that I got on this J100, and I'm not selling this one, by the way. The Epiphone, the new Epiphones, the J200s and their new acoustics are also really, really pretty solid guitars. I've played a few of them. So for at or around maybe a little bit under $1,000, if you really want a jumbo acoustic, that's a good option. You know, there's other options too, but they're really pretty good. I think Epiphone is the brand is making a comeback. They're even doing some stuff in the USA again, which is really really great. So, but anyway, I'm thrilled to have these J200s. They're fun to play, and you know, the only other thing I'll mention on these is there are, like a lot of Gibsons and a lot of other guitar companies right now, they're putting out a lot of signature models, you know, artist signature models for J200s and other things. In the J200, there's an Elvis model, there's a Bob Dylan model, there's a Tom Petty recently released signature model. But, you know, for me, I don't really get it from, you know, why anyone would want to buy a signature model. You're paying an exceptionally high price, even, you know, thousands of dollars more than you'd pay for just a standard model. And really, you know, for what, I don't really know. I mean, there's very little in the way of customization on them. And, you know, I mean, it's not like you're going to sound like those people if you buy that guitar. So don't buy one going into it with that mindset. But, you know, someone wants to be a fan or buy one as an investment, you know, so be it. You know, I'm no one to judge. But for me, I don't really get it. For me, I buy these guitars, I buy any guitar, because hopefully it inspires me to play differently or think differently or write differently. And that's why I buy these. I want to be the best me I can be when I play these. So I'm really not trying to sound like anyone else. I don't want to sound like anyone else. I have said that after I just played a whole bunch of cover tunes on the intro. But you know what I mean. But no, anyway, I just wanted to share these with you. They're great guitars. Gibson is really putting out some premium stuff. And that's about it. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you next time.